5 years after my death, I watched with my own eyes as Jane's childhood friend drowned our child. When the detective called Jane, she was still eating strawberries that Julian had fed her. Hearing the detective's words, she merely gave a cold laugh. Dead? If she's dead, bury her. Why are you calling me? Finally, she arrived at the police station, a look of impatience on her face. You said she's dead. Where's the body? My soul floated in midair, gazing at my daughter's body entangled with river weeds. Jane's voice reached my ears, pulling me back to a moment of haunting familiarity. We hadn't truly met in nearly 5 years. After my death, I somehow became a spirit, bound to my daughter's side. She was so small, living in an orphanage for those 5 years. Until Julian appeared, pressing her head into the river water, holding her down with brutal force. I knelt beside them, screaming, banging my head on the ground. I begged him to spare my daughter. I was already dead. What more did he want? But I was a ghost now, utterly useless, able only to kneel there. Are you sure this is my daughter? She wasn't this thin. If you're going to fake a body, at least pick a more convincing one. Jane's voice snapped me out of my memories, but it only twisted the knife in my heart further. What did she mean by that? Jane held her hand over her nose, a frown etched on her face as she glanced at Lily's small body. Then, with utter nonchalance, she said to the detective, I've identified the child. Can I leave now? A few younger detectives, unable to stomach her indifference, slammed their hands on the table and stood up. That's your daughter who died. How can you be so heartless? She lifted her chin arrogantly. Heartless? At least I showed up. Her father hasn't even bothered to show his face. And you call me heartless? The detective was speechless. Beside them, I cried out anxiously, I'm just dead. But no one could hear the voice of a ghost. How could I be heartless towards my own daughter? She was the sole testament to Jane's and my love, my only continuation in this world. I'd watched her, small and alone, crying in bed at night, clutching the little doll Jane had given her, quietly asking it, why doesn't mom want me anymore? Where's my dad? Every time I saw that, my heart felt like it was being torn to shreds. Yet, her mother, for 5 whole years, hadn't once come to see her. We haven't found the father's contact number, so he might not know yet. You could try contacting him, a detective's voice chimed in. Jane scoffed. So you've put on this elaborate show just for that, to make me humble myself and find him? I'm telling you, absolutely not. With that, she turned to leave. But as she reached the door, she paused. A flicker of hope ignited within me, anticipating her turning back. She turned to the detective and asked, can I take the body now? The detective nodded, and Jane instructed her bodyguard to carry my daughter's tiny body. I was filled with the belief that she still harbored affection for our child, that she was in pain now. But I never imagined that as soon as we left the station, Jane would tell her bodyguard to dump our daughter in the pauper's grave on the south side of town. She wouldn't even spare Lily a proper glance, casually saying, since Brandon Sterling doesn't even want to come see his own daughter, I certainly don't need to keep this body. Hearing those words, I felt my heart had been shredded to pieces, the pain so intense I fell to my knees, unable to utter a sound. I humbly clutched at her trousers, begging her, pleading with her to give our child a proper burial. But for 5 years I couldn't comfort my grieving Lily every night, and now I couldn't even ensure her body remained intact. I watched as little Lily's body was tossed onto the heap of corpses like a rag doll. I screamed uncontrollably at Jane, that's our daughter. The daughter you carried for 9 months and gave birth to yourself. Now your childhood friend has killed her, and you won't even give her a proper burial. But no matter how much I screamed, my heart tearing itself apart, I couldn't change the fact that my daughter's body was left there. Seeing my daughter's body lying amidst the pile of corpses, Jane frowned. She murmured, how did they make it look so real? Brandon Sterling really went to a lot of trouble to try and make me back down. But does he really think I'd believe this is Lily's body?